During the Second World War, a soldier in the Polish army carried heavy artillery shells across the battlefield, wrestled with his comrades, and drank beer in the evenings. He also happened to be a bear. His name was Wojtek, and he became one of the most beloved soldiers in the history of war. This is the true story of the bear who went to war and won the heart of everyone he met. Welcome to Curio Hour, where we uncover the strange, the unsolved, and the unforgettable. Today's story: Wojtek the Soldier Bear. Our story begins in the spring of 1942 in the mountains of Iran. A group of Polish soldiers, weary travelers far from home, came across a young boy with a small, orphaned bear cub. The cub's mother had been killed by hunters, and the tiny bear, barely able to walk, was hungry and alone. The soldiers could not leave him behind. So, in exchange for some food and a few coins, the little bear became theirs. They named him Wojtek, a Polish name that means roughly the happy warrior. At first, the cub was so small he had to be fed condensed milk from an old vodka bottle. But surrounded by soldiers who adored him, Wojtek thrived. And he grew and grew. He came to believe in every way that mattered that he was simply one of the men. He slept in the tents with the soldiers, often curled up beside them for warmth. He learned to march on his hind legs alongside the troops. He learned to salute when the men saluted. And he developed some very particular and very soldierly habits. Wojtek loved to wrestle gently with the men and almost always let them win. He developed a serious fondness for beer, which he would sip from a bottle, and a taste for cigarettes, which he preferred to eat rather than smoke. He loved nothing more than a warm bath, and would sometimes empty the camp's entire water supply, splashing happily. On one occasion, he even caught a thief, a spy who had snuck into the camp's bathing hut, only to come face to face with a very large, very surprised bear. For his trouble, Wojtek was rewarded with a bottle of beer. He was, by every account, a deeply content bear. But Wojtek's company were soldiers, and in 1943 they received their orders. They were going to the front in Italy, and that created a serious problem, because the British ship that was to carry them had a strict rule: no pets, no mascots, no animals of any kind. The soldiers were not about to leave their friend behind, so they came up with an audacious and brilliant solution. If Wojtek could not travel as an animal, then he would not travel as an animal at all. They officially enlisted him. Wojtek the bear was given a name, a rank, and a serial number. He was now, on paper, Private Wojtek of the 22nd Artillery Supply Company. And so, as an enlisted soldier of the Polish army, the bear walked up the gangplank and sailed off to war. In Italy, the company was thrown into one of the hardest battles of the entire war: the Battle of Monte Cassino. It was a brutal, grinding fight high in the mountains, and Wojtek's company had a vital job: to carry heavy crates of artillery shells up to the guns. It was exhausting, dangerous work. And here the story takes its most remarkable turn. Watching the men strain under the heavy loads, Wojtek simply stood up, walked over, and began to help. He lifted crate after crate of shells, each weighing as much as 100 pounds, and carried them to the artillery line. And by every account, he never once dropped a single one. Amid the noise and the chaos of battle, the bear worked tirelessly beside his fellow soldiers, doing the work of several men. The story spread quickly through the army. A bear carrying ammunition at Monte Cassino. It became a symbol of courage and of the deep bond between the men and their unlikely comrade. In honor of his service, the company made it official in the most fitting way they could. They adopted a new emblem: an image of a bear carrying an artillery shell. It was painted on their vehicles and worn on their uniforms with pride. And Wojtek himself was promoted from private to corporal. When the war in Europe finally ended, the soldiers and their bear were sent to Scotland. There in the countryside, Wojtek became a local celebrity. Children rode on his back. Crowds came to see the famous soldier bear. But the war was over. The company was to be disbanded. And the men, heartbroken, knew they could not keep him. And so in 1947, Corporal Wojtek was given a new home, the Edinburgh Zoo. His old friends visited him often, and it was said that even years later, when a veteran called his name in Polish, the old bear's ears would prick up. Wojtek lived out his days quietly and died in 1963, a beloved hero of a war he never chose to fight. Today, statues of him stand in Scotland and Poland. A soldier, a friend, and proof that even in the darkest of times, the most unlikely of heroes can be found. A bear who marched, who served, and who was, to the men who loved him, simply one of their own.